Loam Lander land.
Loam Lander land. So I think it's both good and not ironic, but I always like how some podcasts that are important start on important numbers, and for whatever reason, I feel like number 10 is an important number to me. So this is our 10th podcast. Welcome to Loam Lander. I'm Brendan.
I'm Kevin, and I give this podcast a 10.
Absolutely. This is going, I mean, if it's not a 10, then we are doing it in injustice, because this was probably the best day I've ever had at my house. And I've had lots of good days at my house. I brought kids home to this house. I've had, birthdays, had lots of really cool things happen at this house. But this was probably one of the best days that I've ever had at my house. And that is the Loam Lander land launch, or the launch party for Loam Lander. It was pretty awesome. So Kevin, we've got so much to talk about in this particular podcast. I don't know how we're going to get it all in. I don't know how we're going to really be able to express how exciting and how interesting this whole experience was. But what I thought we'd do is just kind of start with what's brought us to this point. We've talked a lot about Loam Landers. We've talked a lot about our industry partners. We've talked a lot about all these other things that have happened. And a lot of them we're building to somewhat this moment, although this moment is just the beginning of where we're taking Loam Lander. We've talked frequently between you and I about how this particular, day, our Loam Lander launch is and was a critical moment in helping us to be able to progress the brand and to progress our landers further out into the market. Is that accurate? Would you say that this was, pretty important day for us?
Yeah, I mean, we did obviously launch our website and a few other things and talked a lot, and constantly we're like sharing some information with you, and not all information. And this was what we're holding back on. And this is what we really wanted to truly launch our brand. It was our official, like you mentioned, launch. So Loam Lander land, launch day landed. It was awesome. It was amazing. I'll apologize right now, because there's no way we're going to do a shout out to everybody that showed up. So to everyone that showed up, we appreciate it. We understand that Olympia is not the easiest place to get to if you live in Bellingham or Eastern Washington or wherever you're at. It was really easy for Brendan to get there because he rolled out of bed.
It was pretty awesome.
It was a phenomenal event. Shout out to Tatum, who did so much, especially on the food side of things and organization and all that stuff. Brendan, you made your yard spectacular. There was so much coming up to this day. I don't know. I don't even know how to get it. It was exciting and stressful and fun and so much emotions and everything going on all at once.
It was honestly, this particular event exceeded my ADD dreams. So there was a lot of prep that went into it. When we decided to do a Loam Lander launch, we also at the same point wanted to do a true official Loam Lander video, which will be coming out very soon. And we're really, really excited about it. But as that whole thing kind of started, I was looking at my front yard and looking at my front deck, which was, in my opinion, a big eyesore. And it gave me some motivation to get some things cleaned up in my yard, which also turned into a very large project. And it was nice to have a deadline. And I was amazed that it actually happened on that deadline. But what a fun time. So Tatum and I did a lot of prep to get our yard ready. And we made some good decisions in where to put things and how to set things up. And things just worked out. Just awesome. So maybe I should give a little prep to the Friday before our event on Saturday. So Loam Lander land launch probably, I'd say, officially started on Friday. And that's because we had a pro rider that came to do some training here, and who will be back, I'm sure, several times to do some training before an event that's coming up in the next several weeks. but it was really one of those moments once again where you kind of look at the things that are being built and being put together, and just I came, to that moment at, wow, we're starting to arrive. Loam Lander is starting to put some things on the map that will hopefully help this brand to be shown in the light that it's intended to. That it's a professional grade, but it's not a professional need. You don't need to be a professional to enjoy these, but professionals can enjoy them and can take their confidence and their skills to the next level as well. But as this particular pro was here, they spent a lot of time on our 6-foot bag, a little bit of time on some of the other landers. But he is going to be jumping onto a Jimbo lander in a couple of weeks. And in preparation for our event this weekend, we had a Jimbo here that we were going to be showcasing and showing off. And so to show him what he was going to be landing onto, we inflated that particular lander. And I'll be honest, it's the first time I had seen it in person. We had done a lot of logistics. We'd done a lot of planning. We've done a lot to make sure that it was the right size, right dimensions, right everything style of bag. But as far as physically seeing it, it was my first time. And to say I was in shock is to be very, very blunt and way too generous, because we started inflating it and it kept on inflating and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And we have seen the specs. We'd seen the pictures from the manufacturer. We'd seen the live images. We'd seen videos. We've even seen it next to cars in images, but I'd never seen it in person. And nothing does the justice to the sheer size of this particular lander. And Kevin, tell me if I'm way exaggerating, if I'm overstating. It is huge.
It is massive. And for those who don't know, Brendan and I are both vertically challenged. But just standing next to it, it's a giant. It's unbelievable. In my picture, you can it's not the best angles, but it's the 6.5 foot bag is the GGR custom. Gal with Gravity, shout out to them. And then the massive Jimbo's behind it. That doesn't show it justice. It looks like it's a small bag and a kind of bigger bag. The Jimbo is huge. The runout is huge. The taper is long. It's crazy wide. It's 850 pounds. It's massive.
It's just amazing. Just one big wall. I mean, you just look at it from the backside, it's one big wall of vinyl. And the pro, as he was looking at it, his eyes were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the smile on his face was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was just an incredible moment. And to see the excitement in his face as it finalized its stance, and to see that, okay, I'm going to land on this. And this is just going to be one amazing experience. Unfortunately, we didn't have a kicker there on Friday that was suited well for this particular lander. So he wasn't able to do much with it other than just experience what it is. And that was very, very important for him, because he's going to be using an identically sized, a sister bag to it for this event. And so that worked out really, really well. And so that was our Friday experience. That was our I'd say the pre-launch to our launch. And then Saturday morning came.
Before you go into Saturday,
yeah,
back on Wednesday, shout out to Lenny's. Thank you, Lenny's Bike Shop, Lauren up at Lenny's, and Pat letting us borrow the ramp. So that was the ramp that we brought down for the flat bag first. So again, shout out to Lenny's Bike Shop up north. We appreciate it. That helped us have another ramp. So we were able to set up 4 different airbags and the correct ramps for each one.
Yeah, amazing.
So that was a Wednesday event, but
right. Yeah,
Friday was the initial.
Yeah, that was our Wednesday event. Kevin, you came down and helped me get some things cleaned up and finish some trimming and some of the things that need to be done to get this yard just in top shape. So thank you to both you and Lenny's. Truly, without that ramp, it would have made our event one more thing not as perfect as it was. Definitely. And so that was amazing. So let's go into Saturday. Saturday it was hard for me to sleep. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't like so overwhelmed or overexcited about it that I didn't sleep. I just woke up like really early and was one of those moments you jump out of bed and you're just ready to go, ready to get things rolling.
My alarm was set probably for like 5:30. I was wide awake at 5, one of those days. So I woke up, had my cup of coffee, and kind of got all the bikes loaded. I was just in there waiting and ready to leave, just getting all the kids, taking some neighborhood kids, and just so excited to get down there and anxious to get down there and help set up and experience it and be there. And there was so much going on that it was so much fun just to be there. That was what it was all about.
Right. And you and I both didn't, I don't think we rode one run the whole day, but yet once again, It was so incredibly fun. Yeah, you had a full carload and you brought some super shredders, and it was, I mean, that alone was so cool. So you and I both get started in the morning. We start setting things up and start inflating airbags and start some B-roll stuff for this launch video that's coming out soon. And then our good friend Kevin, not Kevin Bradshaw, our new good friend Kevin, or my new good friend Kevin, Jorgensen was he's a 15-year-old just mega shredder, and we needed a crash test tummy to get a few things set up, some distances set up, and first thing out of the gate, he does a backflip onto the flat bag. Like this,
which was too hard at the time. Right. It wasn't set up correctly. We just set it up. We're waiting to get it all organized. I'll do it. I'm in. Put me in, coach.
And you couldn't ask for a better beginning to the day, because that was, sometimes you'd think that's the highlight, right? A backflip onto anything is pretty amazing. But that was just the beginning. Like it wasn't even, by the end of the day, it was impressive. It was impressive all the way across the board, but we'd seen so many other amazing tricks that it just felt like it was normal. Everyone else should be doing backflips because of everything else that was going on throughout the day.
I think Kevin might've been the only one to officially do a backflip on every single bag.
That's correct. Yep.
Which is, he's upside down in your picture right there.
He is. Yep. And this is on the sessions. Yeah. So this is on
Jimbo, your picture.
Oh, is mine's the Jimbo? No, this, whatever it is. He did it on every single one of them. And it was so freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, this is the Jimbo, because look, he is literally at the top of the trees.
Yeah.
It's just wildly crazy. So Kevin just started things off right way, and it just started building and building. And we had invited a great group of friends, and some old, some new, and the party just started going. And what was super fun to me is just to watch the lap after lap after lap after lap occur. And the planning went well. Kevin and you and I both planned really well on where to place the bags, I felt. Yes. Any thoughts about like kind of where we had placement and run-ins, those type of things? How did that feel to you?
It felt really good. The flat bag was the perfect place for it. I think that was my favorite placement of all the bags, just because it did exactly what it blocked the driveway from people coming up. It was a safe run-in for it, for everybody to bomb down to it. 6.5 foot is actually where we leave the 6.5 foot all the time at your house. Mm-hmm. But God with Gravity, shout out to them. They're like, yeah, you should use our bag. And so we got to use their bag, and you'll see that in a lot of posts because we'll have some videos coming soon. So that's a custom airbag, the 6.5 footer, the OG ordered by Galbraith Gravity Racing out of Bellingham. The Jimbo was just to the side of it, which you see in my picture. The Sessions is small compared to
everything else.
See it's trumped by the Jimbo, right?
Yeah.
And so the Sessions was the only bag that didn't really cross, but like you just had to make sure you turn into it. It still worked great though. Like we used every space possible. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Chris with P&W Ramps. He was there helping set up his ramp to the Sessions prototype ramp. I'll leave it there. Yeah. That thing was awesome.
It was. It worked perfectly. Like, you'd think that we had designed things to work around each other, and We have. I mean, this is planned out. We aren't just shooting from the hip on everything we do, but to see things all come together just like they're supposed to. He's run into some materials. Just getting materials has been really challenging for him, and so we were able to get everything that we needed in order to get this prototype ramp built, and it turned out just insanely great. It was. We had a ramp for every bag, and everyone that wanted to hit whatever they wanted could do it all day long and feel happy. And I say that because we had a lot of people here. I didn't ever stop to count, but my feeling is that we're well over 100.
Easy and spread out. We were never crowded, right? It was 100 and not crowded.
Yeah, not at all. And we probably, when we do events in the future, we could probably have a few more, or we could have a few less. It just depends on how what's suited well for the group that's here. And I think that everyone that came wouldn't hesitate to getting a return invite. And I think that they would want to bring themselves and many, many more of their friends along with them.
Saturday morning worked out perfect. Like it was 11-ish is when we kind of officially kicked off, but we had it all set up. People started showing up. The kids were using the Jimbo bag as pretty much a slide, some water on it, so slip and slide. So the kids played on it for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then Dan and Chris come rolling up the driveway with the ramp that they were going to set up for the Jimbo. And that was intimidating, right?
Was. Let's talk about that first, right?
Yeah.
So
a ramp for every bag.
But let's talk about the whole. I'll talk about my apprehension, and you can fill in if you had any of your own apprehensions. But Friday, Cody and I were standing there talking about ramp size for that particular bag, and I knew that Chris and Dan were bringing their ramp that was either an 8 or 9 foot ramp, an 8 or 9 foot kicker, and this is a 13-foot bag. And as Cody and I were talking, we're like, well, probably a 12-foot ramp would be the most ideal for it, maybe 11, so you have a bit of a kick, a bit of a step up. But we thought that you needed a really, really big ramp. And I think that Chris and Dan and everyone that rode that would agree that they want a larger ramp than what they had. But they show up, they have this 8 or 9 foot kicker. And Tatum, Kevin doesn't know this, but Tatum pulled me aside as they were setting things up. And she's like, are you sure we want to do this? And she was full on dead serious. Like, someone's going to get killed. Someone's going to get hurt. Are you sure we want to do this? She's like, look at that. It looks so janky. It looks like, like they just built it in their backyard. I'm like, well, first of all, they probably did build it in the backyard. Second of all, these are professionals. And third, it's their ramp and their bag. Why do we care?
Let's stop there real quick, right? I mean, their bag, they were the first ones to say, so they bought the Jimbo and they're like, hey, we're coming down to the event. How about you use our airbag? That's where this first started.
Yeah.
Like, we'll bring a ramp and you can just set up our airbag. We can all play on it. All of us can play on it. Right. Okay. So that's why we have a Jimbo at the Loam Lander launch party.
For sure. And sidebar as well. I didn't want to take it out of the bag because I didn't know how we were get it back in the bag. And as we'll talk about, I'm sure by the end of this podcast, we got it back in the bag and it was a good experience, but it was a hard experience. So Dan and Chris came, they set this kicker ramp up, and then Kevin Jorgensen, our backflipping buddy, says that he's going to be the first one to hit it. And I was walking past the ramp, and Dan or Chris, I can't remember who was saying, but I was getting really close to the run, and he's like, Ryder. I'm like, Ryder, what are you talking about? It's like, Ryder's coming right now. And all of a sudden, Kevin comes through and he hits the kicker. He goes up and over, beautiful arc, amazing. And you just hear this crowd of everyone just start cheering because it was such an amazing moment. And we had an awesome vibe going to the Lander launch pre that jump. And all of a sudden it went to a 12 or a 14 level. It was just amazing.
And then to help out Tatum here, Kevin and many others said that ramp was the smoothest one they've ever hit.
Yeah.
And so janky is not. It's made by pros. It's super smooth. Everyone had fun.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't janky. I mean, the way that they had to break it down to bring it over, what you're seeing it in pieces, and you're seeing the way that they had to kind of put it together. They did a great job. I mean, it was amazing. So by the end, she wasn't nervous about it. It was just insanely crazy.
Yeah.
And but once again, we could talk for hours about this particular, event. I mean, just talking about the Jimbo alone, we could spend a whole podcast just talking about how that changed and evolved over time. Kevin did a backflip on his second jump, and that the second jump onto that bag was a backflip.
And there he is.
It's crazy. Okay, so that was us getting that Jimbo prepped and set up. I don't know where to go from here. This is where I'm kind of stuck because there's so much we could talk about. We could talk about just seeing the progression of these kids over the course of the day. We can talk about how cool it was that everyone stuck out throughout the whole day and just loved hanging out together. Several people, while they weren't, no one was trying to be rude by any means, but they were all saying, like, our plan was to come and stay for a couple hours, take off and go do something else. And they didn't. They were there all day long, which was appreciated, and it wasn't expected, but it was perfect.
It was great. I mean, it was so fun to see all the kids playing together, the younger ones that are not on bikes, the ones that are progressing, the ones that are learning. I want to do a shout out to, I believe his name is Rowan. Is that correct? Rowan. It is Rowan, right?
I think it's Rowan.
With Sweet Lines?
Yes.
If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. He got there and hit the Sessions bag, which is, for those who don't know, it's our 4-foot bag. And he did that a handful of times. And I think he was just getting comfortable for a ramp, getting comfortable for a lander. And then you see him on the 6.5 footer. By the end of the day, Rowan was hitting that 13 footer. He hit the Jimbo numerous times. It was so impressive. His dad was ecstatic. I'm so glad they came down. He was probably the perfect one of the day for progression from starting. He worked his way up and made it to the Jimbo. Unbelievable. Great job, Rowan. Shout out to you. And that was awesome to see.
It was exactly what our design and plan is for these landers. Like, he was the proof. If we needed any more proof of what the progression is and how it affects people and how quickly it can make an effect in someone's riding, he was the perfect example. If I remember correctly, he was pretty apprehensive even about the 4-foot bag. Is that correct?
That is correct. The first couple of times he trying to figure out speed. I mean, it is hard, right? And that's probably my biggest hold back on myself when I hit ramps, is not knowing the speed. Even if I've hit it before, I'm still questioning my speed, questioning everything I do on that, actually. But yeah, he was holding back a little bit on the 4-footer. He might have even washed out a couple of times. I don't know for sure on that. I don't know if it was him or another kid. But just his progression and his excitement and looking at his eyeballs of like excitement. I don't know. Like, I always like to look at people after they do something, and he was just like blown away, going to the moon, just kind of. And then his dad was just like, he's like a little kid in the background cheering, trying to do photos, but probably moving too much because he was so excited for his son just progressing throughout the entire day.
It was,
and then cheering everybody on in between, right? So you watch one person go and you're like, that was huge. Next person goes, that was bigger. That's the next person. That was the first time hitting that one ever. Great job. It was just like, it was all over the board. We had obviously the 4 airbags out, right? So we had the M35 Flatlander. We had the 4-foot Sessions, which is phenomenal. It's so much fun to watch that bag because we saw everything from a beginner to flips to 360s to like, that was really cool. The 6.5 footer, the OG, probably still my favorite. That was on display as the GGR one in my picture, and the Jimbo. And then don't forget the trampoline. Like, there's a line for the trampoline. Yeah. You had the trampoline bike there, but also just people just bouncing on the trampoline. Everybody was spread out. It was, you have trails up in the hill, which up in those trees behind everybody. So it was just so much fun to see everybody progressing throughout the day, pushing each other safely because they're landing safely on our airbags. And it was just an amazing time. And you mentioned earlier that we didn't even ride. I remember at one point, I was actually towards the end of the day, I was going to go hit a couple of the bags. I put on my helmet. and I started talking. I took my helmet off, and I don't remember what happened, but I did not ride because in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna go hit a ramp, and I never did.
Right.
But it was okay because we were running around, talking to everybody, having fun. It was nice. Well, you said this before, right? It was the good and the bad. We hired Andrew to do videography and photography for us, which was awesome because we didn't have to worry about it because we were so distracted and run around like squirrels, in a good way, that we didn't have to worry about taking pictures throughout the day. So thank you, Andrew. Shout out to him. Right. I know you wish you took more, but it is relaxing knowing that you didn't have to.
It is. And that was the nice part of it, is that, you know, it was good to know that we're going to get some amazing, and have gotten some amazing things. It's just as far as content, but that I didn't have to worry about that being my full-time job. And in reality, I couldn't have been doing pictures like I wanted to. I couldn't have been doing video like I wanted to. We had a lot of things going on. We had a lot of things that we, you know, we've used these landers a lot in different ways, but it's been in a very small environment where we have 5 or 6 or 10 riders max going on them. And to have that many riders going and hitting all of these different landers, we learned some things about these landers. We learned about anchoring and why that is important when you have a train of 15 kids going down, and that the lander is going to move a little bit. I have, you know, our main kicker for the 6-foot bag is extremely heavy. I think it weighs probably 400 pounds, 500 pounds. But even it was starting to creep in a few different ways. So there's just a lot of stuff going on that we needed to be attended to. We learned a lot about the flat bag. We learned a lot about how, you know, it takes balancing, and that it just by nature, it can't, you know, have an adult hit it and then have a, you know, 50-pound kid hit it and expect the same results out of it, just because of how it's designed. It's not, you know, it takes some skills to make sure that it's properly adjusted for each of the different rider styles.
On that flat bag, going into the flat bag, if you're someone who's going to try 360 or a flip or shoot to the moon and land into it, like that is also a part of the adjustment, right? You're like, okay, I need it softer because I'm going to come down harder. There's just the flat bag, I think, is in a positive way the most finicky because you have to tailor it to the rider and what trick they're going to do. Right. And so it's really good that you have to do that because that way the rider is safe and it lands safely into the airbag. But it is, like you mentioned, every rider, every jump, you have to recheck it. You have to open the baffles, close the baffles. There's always something going on with that. So that's a fun bag. You just a little more attention to tailor it to each rider. Right.
Right. Which is, I mean, and that's what's great about it, is it is one of those that honestly, it's tailored more to whatever that particular rider's doing. And so it takes some love, and we learned that. And so, you know, not only was our launch event just a time for us to have a lot of fun, but it was also a great opportunity to learn more about these landers. We had an issue with air getting trapped between the top sheet and the Jimbo, and we were able to quickly come up with the proper solution, like the real fix to it, in a matter of 10 minutes, and it made the lander that much better. And, you know, it was just such a wonderful opportunity to really get to know our products better.
And to have people push them to the extreme, because there are some extreme tricks happening throughout the entire day. There were all 4 bags.
Yeah. What was your favorite? Do you have a particular moment that you just stands out?
Donald on the BMX.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Dan and Chris and Kevin and many others. Well, I mean, there's so many awesome tricks happening. But Donald did 2 tricks on 20-inch wheels BMX. He came in as cooking as fast as he could for that ramp, because that huge step up. And there's 2 tricks he did. One, he did a 360. And then in the middle of his 360, he like bar humped and looked at me as I was doing the photo. So that will be posted soon. It's like the funniest looking thing. And then he holds it while he's spinning. So it's like, how do you even do that?
That's crazy.
And then the other one was, again, Donald. He did a backflip and then a turn down. So he's upside down and then cranks the bars And it's just like, one is, how do you do that? And then you do that and hold it and just like tweaks it way. It was rad. It was unbelievable. No, there's tons and tons of other awesome tricks, but those two like stuck out a lot for me. And I got killer photos of those. So those will be coming soon.
That's awesome. My favorite was another kind of peripheral, but not really. It was Dan Hopner. He did a front flip for the first time ever, like ever, I believe, except for like trampolines and that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, I just saw him flip front. We'd seen a lot of back flips, but to see a front flip was insanely different. And he did it on the Jimbo. And to see the smile on his face as he's coming off of that, and like I've never done that before. That was the first time. I just felt comfortable because I have all this endless padding that if it went wrong, I'm gonna still go to work on Monday. Was really cool.
On that one, I was looking up the hill. I kind of remember that moment, and I was not looking at the airbags. We had to constantly look up the hill, make sure everything's dropping in correctly. The kids are, not cutting each other off, all that kind of fun stuff. And I'm looking up the hill, and all of a sudden I hear like a whole bunch of people scream and yell. I'm like, wait, what just happened? A front flip. Wait, what? So I'm hoping that got on video. I'm stoked. That's so cool that he pulled that off.
Yeah. I think someone may have it. I don't know. It happens so fast. If you have
it, guys, please share it with us. Ladies, please share that front flip with us.
Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, it's so
we had
so crazy.
We had people attend that weren't even riders. Like if they were the wife or the mom or the dads, like not everybody were riders there, and they still got to come experience what these airbags are.
Yeah. Well,
that was really cool to see, like just people blown away, like especially the Jimbo. The Jimbo is a wall. It is the largest billboard out there. It is massive. So you drive into Brennan's property, all you see is the Jimbo. Even though there's really good airbags next to it, the Jimbo is huge.
Right. It totally dwarfed everything else. It was
even your house.
It did. Yeah. I mean, if you can see very well in the background of Kevin's picture, like it's about a third of the way up the second floor, maybe even halfway up the second floor. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about the Jimbo progression throughout the day, and talk about the varied ages of riders that actually hit that. So we had riders as old as, I don't know, maybe late 30s.
Yeah.
To riders as young as 8 hit the Jimbo.
Is Crosby the youngest to hit it, I think, right?
Either Crosby or
shoot, I'm forgetting his name.
Yep, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of it either.
Is it Taylor's brother?
Taylor's brother. Yep.
Dunn. I apologize. I'm forgetting your name right now.
Right.
Taylor Dunn's brother.
Yes, Taylor Dunn's brother, who we'll remember as soon as we finish this podcast.
And Taylor Dunn was also there throwing flips and 360s, and it was crazy.
It was crazy. But to see that variance of riders, and both male riders, boy riders, and girl riders, all hit it.
Amber at the very end, right before we were about to let the air out, she's like, "This is my last chance," and she went and hit it. And the people that were left there, I mean, there was probably 20 of us at that point.
Right.
We're just ecstatic and crazy. And like, want to hit it again? No, I'm good. One and done.
Yeah.
So good job, Amber. You killed it.
And I don't know if you could, like, I could sense she was going to do it, but I also was kind of thinking, does she have enough speed to do it?
Yeah.
And she made it. I mean, she made it, and she came off smiling, and it was awesome. The day wasn't 100% injury free. We did have one injury and two injuries. One, my nephew, Ethan, who I've talked about on previous podcasts.
Because once again, of the crash. That's why you talked about him before.
Yes, because of a crash, and me being the uncle that wants to help his nephew be pushed a little bit. Ethan unfortunately broke his collarbone, and he'll be off the bike for a bit, but he can't wait to get on his bike. So just a quick background. His dad is Chris with P&W Ramps, and Chris was, he was super like chill, and like, things happen and that's fine. And Janet, my sister-in-law, she's a mom, and moms like to worry a little bit. And so Tatum was messaging Janet yesterday, and she said something like, do you hate us? Do you want, does something about Ethan on mountain bikes? And she's like, no, Ethan loves his mountain bike. Like, I can't do anything against that now. He loves it and he wants to get back on his bike super fast. And Cruz was joking around with him and said, hey, are you going to sell your bike now? Because I want it. And he said, over my dead body, we'll get this collarbone fixed and then he'll be back on a bike. And then we had a dislocated finger.
Linnea, yeah, she should be in bubble wrap.
Yes. So thanks for hanging out with us. We're sorry you both had injuries. But for the craziness of the day, the Loam Landers did the job that they're designed to do. Talking
to Ethan after that wreck, actually I saw it. I was right there. And so he wrecks and he gets up and like, oh, you all right? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. Oh, my finger's bloody. Can I get a Band-Aid? I'm like, yeah, let's go find a Band-Aid. Mm-hmm. And then like 20 minutes later, I'm like, hey, can you go check out Ethan? To my wife, who's a nurse, Rhonda. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why? Well, I have a broken collarbone. Wait, what? I thought he had a bloody finger. It was kind of funny in that sense. And then you go talk to him and he's just like chill. He's like, oh man, you can tell he's bummed.
Right.
But he was laid back too. He's just like, oh, whatever. And he wasn't in shock. He's just like, oh man, that's right. I want to ride my bike.
Yeah.
So shout out to Ethan. Great job throughout the day and heal quickly.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. He's a good kid. He's such
and thank you, Chris, for being rad dad.
Absolutely. Yes. And Janet, thank you for not beating me up when you see me next. Okay. Janet, did you hear that? Don't beat me up next time you see me. Ethan will be awesome. Anyways.
So Brandon, can I ask you a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Throughout the day, what airbag surprised you the most?
Well, I think I was most shocked that they were able to do everything they could do on the Jimbo. That shocked me. The one that, I like the 6 foot. The OG is my favorite. And agreed. until we find something else that's, better suited, I think it will always be my favorite. Which one have I thought about the very most as far as maybe possibly at some point someday getting one to set here at Loam Lander Land? The 13 foot, which is so weird because I don't think that I'd ever would have thought that. Do I ever plan on hitting it? At this point in my life, no. But could I someday maybe? Possibly. Yeah.
The sugar glider. We need to order one of those sugar gliders real soon.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good in-betweener.
I think it would definitely. So I don't have a good answer for that. All of them performed really well. The one that I learned the most about is the flat bag. And I'm going to be straight up honest. I personally prefer the Lander style. I just feel like that's a much more fun Lander or much more fun airbag for me personally. But I learned the most about that particular bag, and really the learning was that it has to be tailored for each individual rider, and that it does take a lot of constant care and watchfulness.
I agree. The flat bag is definitely, we mentioned tailor every rider, which takes me to my favorite of the day, which I didn't think would be my favorite of the day. Just because the Jimbo is so massive, you think that'd be the most exciting one, right? The sessions. Mm-hmm. The reason why I don't like the Flatlander is you jump, you land flat. You almost always, not crash is the wrong word, but you crash into the big pillow and then you roll off and then you do it again. But there's like effort. Mm-hmm. On a Lander, you land, you roll off, you get to go do it again. You constantly get to session it. Hence, we call our 4-footer the sessions. And what we got to see on the sessions was amazing. I think it goes way back in podcast number 2. We did a lot of R&D, a lot of research, a lot of measuring, a lot of questions and stuff. And I'm one of the first people to admit that there was a couple I don't knows that I said in podcast number 2, so don't listen to it. But we knew what we were doing. It's just we actually wanted to officially write it. We designed it because this is what we were trying to accomplish. And what the sessions did throughout the entire day was progression from little kids. It was Dan's son, not Chris. Yeah, so Dan's son never hit a gap in his life. He hit a gap on the sessions. That was his first day ever on that hardtail.
Right. Over and over and over.
On that giant hardtail. And he had so much fun, and he just never stopped. He just kept on doing it. And he'd actually get mad if we were cutting, because he would be the one. We'd stand talk. He's like, "Hey, I'm trying to go." He was out. He was awesome. Great job. I apologize, I forgot his name, but Dan son killed
Jaden.
Jaden, thank
right.
you. And then it was just so fun to see someone just basically doing it, and then the kids asking for a bigger gap. So we were just pulling it apart from each other, launching off the P&W ramp, the prototype. Top secret, don't know anything. Launching off that one onto the sessions. And then all of a sudden you start seeing the big kids, or the ones that can do more tricks, coming over there. We saw 360s. We saw backflips. We saw no handers. We saw no footers. We saw nothings. I think there's a quick little Superman. It was a very quick one because it's a 4-foot sessions.
Right.
So it was really cool to see what that sessions can do. It can literally be a very entry level progression, but it could also be a very extreme progression of bigger and tricks,
right? More
extreme tricks, I guess would be the better way of saying that, right?
And
then pushing to the extreme tricks, like in my picture. Who else can do synchronized Supermans? I mean, check that out. That's pretty darn cool.
It was as synchronized as we can get, and this was the first try, right? And I think it was the only time they did it. Yep. But so that's Brian Donor on the Big Bag. If you don't know Brian, you need to go follow him, especially on Instagram. Brian's got a fun story about his mountain biking career. It started, I don't know, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not very long. And he loves to do tricks. And I don't know if he has a BMX background or not, where it all comes from. But what he can do on a dirt jumper is pretty astounding. He literally just got off an injury. And so this was his big bounce back to
broken collarbone.
Yep. And here is Jake on the 6-foot and Brian on the Jimbo doing synchronized Supermans. It's pretty cool.
So I mean, that's the sessions. It was so cool to see the very basic people just rolling over it when we pushed it real close and there wasn't much of a gap at all, to just extreme. And so that was fun to see. And then someone like Rowan, we talked a little bit about earlier, is started on the sessions and worked his way to the Jimbo. That's just unbelievable. He even hit the M35, the fly bag, a couple times too. The excitement of the sessions, I think, truly was so much fun.
It was. Like I say, we could go. I think I could physically spend a whole day talking about that day and all of the different lessons learned, or the excitement, or like the amplitude of excitement. It just built and built and built. The sense of community, it was fun to, once again, having one of those moments where I was standing at the top of the hill. And when we bought our property, our home, I had always wanted it to be something. I didn't know what that something was. But I had a few of those moments where I was like, well, this is what I wanted. I didn't know exactly what it was that I wanted, but this is what I wanted. And to see families on blankets in the middle of our field, to see people just hanging out, chatting and standing around, waiting for their turn to hit the ramp, to see train after train after train of tricks, to even see kids totally wipe out and bounce and get up and go do it 15 more times.
From 20-inch wheels to 29ers, all the way up to e-bikes. Adrian,
that's right. Yeah,
with an e-bike, and he was jumping the bags with an e-bike.
Yeah.
Crosby on those 20-inch wheels, making that thing go as fast as it could. Those 20s couldn't go any faster. It was all over the board, from ages to progression to bike styles to BMX to dirt jumpers to big squish bikes. It was crazy.
It was. I mean, it was just endless. It was so
shout
fun.
out. Let's do another shout out, because you and I both, you're actually the one that got me into it. Shout out to Lolo Racks.
Yeah. Because
Lolo Racks allowed me to bring 6 bikes in the back of my Subaru all the way down to Loam Lander land.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Joe. It's helped us a ton. So they were planning on coming up, but ended up having an opportunity to ride with at a very exclusive location with some very, very amazing riders. and they had a tough decision to make. And I don't know what I would have, if I was in that same position, it would have been a hard decision as well. So we're sad they couldn't come up to play with us, but we love our Lolo rack.
I don't think they rode though. From the videos and pictures I saw, I just saw burnouts.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, seriously, do you guys ride bikes at all, or just drive around in your souped up station wagon with your sweet rack on the back?
I think that's what it was.
It must have been. But no, it was such a fun time. I think we need to figure out how to do this, more often. I don't know if we'll ever be able to have the same excitement that we personally had at this one. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's something that we'll all be remembering all summer and be looking forward to the next one for sure.
I definitely think the next one will be more relaxing because we won't, from myself to you to Tatum, there won't be the stress of trying to get it all together because we know what to expect now.
Right.
Will it happen again in this situation? Possibly not. Possibly. But, there's also some thoughts that we have of, we're getting the question, right? So the few people reached out to us like, hey, when can I test one of those? Well, we're working on that right now. Loam Lander land is not open to everybody at this time. I apologize for that. But coming soon, we might be doing a pop-up sessions near your home. We'll keep you informed, keep following us. And if we can pull this off, we have a few plans for the future and we'll see how it kind of plays out together. Yeah,
for sure. That's the one side of having it at this facility is that it is, we got to keep it somewhat private until we can figure out, liability, figure out logistics and, really how all that stuff works. But we are in conversation with a few coaching people to maybe offer some opportunities for jump coaching on the landers. And we also have some other ideas in the works for getting more opportunities for people to enjoy these Loam Landers.
Definitely.
The easiest way to get to enjoy a Loam Lander is to just order one, right?
Yeah. Where do I do that? Where can I order one?
Just go to loamlander.com and you can order it right there. So I would say, obviously we're as biased as it possibly can be, but if you would ask anyone who attended the Loam Lander launch, they would all astoundingly recommend getting one. Even Ethan.
Definitely. And there's a lot of other really cool companies out there. There are other bag companies out there. They're all great. When it comes to ordering a Loam Lander, ask us, why is Loam Lander better? We'll tell you. There's many reasons. Jump to our website, take a look. There's other things that our customers have been asking for, and we're so close to actually officially launching it. We are going to be able to, they're like, hey, can I pay you in payments? So we will have those options shortly. Right now, you definitely get to do PayPal credit and at Pay 4, I believe it's called, where you can do 4 equal payments. Mm-hmm. But in the very near future, we'll have another option, and we will definitely post something about that when it happens.
Yeah. In fact, it's all done. We just need to finish up some of the web integration. So it's short time before that is all ready to roll.
So shout out to our customers.
Yes.
Ask us questions, and we will try to find answers.
Absolutely. I think that this is probably a good spot for us to end this podcast. We had a great time. Watch our social media over the next many weeks. We're going to be posting a variety of different clips from this day. And it was just amazing. Weather was beautiful. Life was beautiful. The people were awesome.
MTV Extended Adventure Family was beautiful. It was amazing time being all together, all of us. It was huge.
It was just amazing. It's a great time. And so yeah, we appreciate your time listening to us, especially today on this podcast, and know that Loam Lander land is building. It's live. It's well, and we're excited to get more of these landers out into the market. We have some just amazing stuff that's on its way. Some
still coming. Things. We keep on throwing that candy out there, right?
We do.
There's a lot happening.
There's a lot happening, and some very, very big. Everyone knows these style of people are noticing what we're doing, and that we're gonna we're going to have some just insane stuff that's this coming out the gate very soon.
Definitely.
Well, Kevin, with that, I think that that we've got to leave on this high note. Anything else you want to share as we end our podcast?
Just thank you for everyone attending. Thank you for sharing what we've been trying to share with everybody else. I mean, they got to come experience what Loam Lander is about. It's more than just airbags. It's about the extended family. It goes back to #Loamers. It's just about being together, having fun, progressing, enjoying each other's company, everything about it. It is a stress relief knowing that the official Loam Lander landing party is done. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited to possibly think of another time to do something similar, either at Loam Lander Land headquarters or just random place.
Right. Oh, me too. I'm more than excited about it. And yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Well,
so with that, you want to do Loam Lander out? Is it about that time?
Let's do that. Loam Lander out.
Launch party done.
We're done.